Oh yes, it's coming in 3, 2, 1. On the air with FDT-TV, the premier West Ham and Arsenal football podcast, brought to you every Monday by Michael Hawes and Ian Varker. I will say that again because I muted my microphone. It's another international week, and in fairness, that's deserving of a muting of a microphone. But regardless of that, welcome to the podcast. I am Ian, and I am joined by...
Hi, Mike.
And we are here to discuss last week's football, or the weekend's just gone football, which, for us, both of us, a little bit of a damp squib. That's how I'll introduce it. But without further ado, if you haven't already, please go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. We'd most appreciate it. Our aim is to get 100 subscribers by the January transfer window, or the end of the January transfer window, and any support you can show us goes a very long way. How you doing this week, Mike?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I was a bit frustrated by the weekend's results, but at the same time, over previous seasons, that's possibly a game that we would have lost.
Yep.
So for another clean sheet and a draw away from home, I'll take that. Some interesting games over the weekend, actually, or interesting notes from games.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll come on to that very shortly. How are you?
Bitterly disappointed. Well, I say bitterly disappointed. I almost spent 90 quid on tickets for the weekend. And I'm glad I didn't, because we lost. And it wasn't one of those where it was outclassed for 90 minutes. The first 45 was theirs, which seemed like a little bit of a European hangover for us. The second 45 minutes, we was on top, but yet again, let down by the keeper not being as sharp as he should be. But we get into that in a bit. What I would say about your result is Brighton are one of those teams where when the fixtures come out, you go, that's a win. That's a win. And I think everyone goes, that's a win. But Brighton, surprisingly, especially under Graham Potter, are very hard to beat. Quite exciting going forward and like to attack, but on also just say frustrating to attack because they're big lumps at centre half.
Yeah.
But how did you find the game? It was 0-0 in the end, wasn't it? So
yes.
Took a point, which is better than nothing. But give us your rundown of what you thought about it.
Okay, so we obviously travelled to the Amex on Saturday. It was the late kickoff for 5:30. We have seen an injury to Granit Xhaka, which is possibly ruled him out for around about 2 months, which is frustrating. I know he had a bit of a dippy moment a couple of weeks ago, which saw him obviously get the red card, but in the game that he played against Tottenham Hotspur, I thought he was one of the better players out of the squad. Not that we had a bad performance in that, but obviously he picked up an injury from Lucas Moura, I think, falling on him at an awkward angle, and he's damaged some tendons or something, or ligaments. But luckily it's not an ACL, which is what they initially feared to start off with. So that's good. So it's only a short period of absence and in that aspect. So we did see Sambi Lokonga come in for that particular position, along with Thomas Partey. Other than that, the team remained unchanged for the game against Tottenham. You hit the nail on the head there. It was a very frustrating game for the entirety of the 90 minutes. I would go as far to say that Brighton probably deserved to get something more out of the game.
Okay.
By having some of the better chances. But at the same time, I think the result was fair in the end, because neither team kind of took their chances. They were both pretty sound defensively. In the midfield, it was kind of like a very good battle between the two teams. So it was pretty much a stalemate. But like I said, both teams had chances to win it. There was one particular attack I remember from Brighton. Ball was chipped into the box. I think Neil Maupay was just about to kind of get to the ball, but Aaron Ramsdale has been absolutely outstanding since he's come in and pulled off one of the saves of the season so far for me. But then again, at the other end, you had Aubameyang try to do a little bit too much with it, took it around the keeper, ended up fluffing his lines. And then also Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka was running back stick. Emile Smith-Rowe was running towards the box. I suppose it's one of those ones where you think from the angle that we can see it, it's a relatively easy pass. However, the defender was with him the whole time and he tried to take the shot on. I think it was possibly got a little bit goal hungry and ended up spooning the chance anyway. So overall, I think it was a fair result. And like I mentioned, it would be one of those games that we would normally go away from home and on a cold, wet night, we would end up losing. But I'm glad that we've kept another clean sheet. So that's 4 clean sheets for Aaron Ramsdale in his last 5 appearances. Yeah, fantastic start for him. Ben White and also Gabriel, I think, are forming an absolutely amazing partnership.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that has been pretty evident is the defensive issues seem to be resolving themselves. It now seems to be the lack of quality in the final third. So that's something that obviously we're going to have to work on. But overall, I think I'm happy with the result.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Since Aaron Ramsdale has come in, we've seen that defensive solidness again in the Arsenal team that we sort of saw some of last season. Wasn't perfect, but actually a lot more solid, which gives you a bit more confidence that actually you're going to start going in the right direction sooner or later.
Yep.
Has Leno got a chance to get back in the first team, or is his number 1 jersey time done?
I wouldn't necessarily as done. Obviously, I think there may have been something that's gone on behind the scenes that's possibly rubbed Mikel Arteta out the wrong way. But at the same time, in the first 3 games of this season, he shipped 9 goals. That's no good.
Yep.
That's no good by any stretch of the imagination. And I mentioned it last week with the run that Aaron Ramsdale's on at the moment. You can't really change, or you can't really drop him because he's being outstanding. He's conceded 1 goal in 5 games, obviously including League Cup games, but he's managed to keep the clean sheets. Now, the only thing I would say is potentially going into some more of the cup games, obviously once the FA Cup fixtures start coming early part of next year.
Yep.
And we're still in the League Cup as it stands at the moment, we may see a little bit of rotation. But for me, Aaron Ramsdale hasn't really done anything wrong in order to kind of drop him from that. But do you then have to start incorporating Bernd Leno into the squad, or into the team, the first team, to kind of keep him sweet? I would say no on that. Again, only on the basis that he had a bit of a poor season last season with some of the stupid goals that he gave away. But like I said, I kind of feel sorry for him in a little way. And the reason why I'll say that is because the defence that we had at the start of the season was not the defence that we've got this side. But we did see a few shaky moments. And I know Bernd Leno played in the last game, and Nuno Tavares kind of shouted his bollocks out at Bernd Leno because he made one of his, I almost want to say, trademark crapper passes where he was under pressure. Whereas you don't really see that with Aaron Ramsdale at the moment. I know there was the pass which led to Saka's goal against Tottenham. That was a bit of a, but obviously it led to a goal at the end of it. So
yeah,
I suppose it was nervous from that side of things, but Ramsdale's just commanding the box, and I've seen a kind of shift from the mentality that we're seeing on social media about why the hell are we going in for this player? He's rubbish. He's been relegated 2 out of the last 3 seasons, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
To people almost coming out and saying, look, I was wrong. I'll hold my hands up. I feel 10 times better knowing this guy's in goal compared to Bernd Leno.
Yep.
And it's nice that some people are doing that. There's obviously going to be the, excuse me, dickheads that will kind of stick to their guns, that still calling for Mikel Arteta out and stuff. But you're never going to change the opinions of these people.
I think, unfortunately, you get some football fans who have to be the opposition regardless of what's happening. If you had Robert Lewandowski,
even though you support the same club,
if you had Robert Lewandowski in goal up front, and he was scoring 50 goals a season, and then they would shout that he should be scoring 51. Do you know what I mean? There is no pleasing the entirety. But overall, a point which brings you closer to the top half of the table.
Yep.
I think you're only 2 points behind West Ham now.
Yes,
I may be wrong.
And we are, I think, 7 points off top. So that's, I know. Obviously, you've got the likes of, well, we've still got Liverpool to play. Not that I think that we would beat them, but if we do beat them, that's 3 points closer to the top 4 or top 6. So I wouldn't say it's completely unrealistic, but
you saying that Liverpool have also got VAR on their side again this year.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, we'll get onto that in a bit. I think Man City deserves a penalty in there, but. So you're still aiming for top 4. That's still your goal for this season.
At least top 4 and a trophy for this year.
Okay.
Whether it be the League Cup or the FA Cup.
Just take any bit of silver where you can.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I suppose it'll be kind of bittersweet for me if we were to only win the League Cup. Again, I'm not saying that we're going to, but I think that should be one of our aims, obviously considering the fact we haven't got European football this year, so we're going to have a fresher squad on a weekly basis. So there's no real reason as to why we can't challenge for those.
Yes.
But I don't remember ever seeing us win the League Cup in my lifetime, or I was too young to remember us winning the League Cup. So for me, I would like to see us win the League Cup, or the Manchester City Trophy, as it's been called over the last few years.
West Ham might have something to say about that, because we've got Man City in the next round. So if anyone's going to stop them, it's going to be us.
Absolutely.
What I would say is, you saying about squad freshness through not being in Europe, that gives us a nice little segue into the fact that West Ham weren't fresh, especially that first half, from it seemed like a bit of a European hangover. Now, we see Declan Rice go down, and people were saying it was cramp. Declan Rice doesn't go down with cramp. He's not one of those players that you see doing that, which was quite concerning. But David Moyes didn't make any substitutes in this game, which frustrates a lot of West Ham fans. He's one for not making substitutes until late on in games anyway. And obviously he has confidence in the squad that he put out there, which is one thing. But we must have some players on the bench which can change the tide of a game. I mean, in the first half, Brentford, without a shadow of a doubt, were the better team. And I think we were lucky to only be 1-0 down. Second half, different kettle of fish altogether. West Ham, I don't know how we didn't get 5 or 6. But we lost in the worst way possible, which is with the last kick of the game. And again, it was from Fabianski not being able to hold the ball, sort of that the guy of old, or the keeper of old, where he got his name of Flappy Hansky. He's been a step behind all season. I've said it all season, and as you rightly put earlier, it's now time for the nipple. And if people don't know who the nipple are, West Ham have a goalkeeper on loan from PSG with an option to buy, whose name is Areola, which in other words is nipple.
Nipple.
But I tell you what, if my nipples could save goals like him, I'd be astounded, because like since he's been in the League Cups, he's played in some of the European games. We're undefeated in the League Cup, we're undefeated in the European games. So I believe he deserves a shot in the first team. I don't know what's going on with Fabianski. I don't want to just sort of chuck him on the discard pile straight away, because he has done us very well over the last few years. And in fairness, he was one of those players, when he come in, everyone was like, oh no, this guy's rubbish. But he's been phenomenal. But this season, he's just a step too slow. He seems to be flat-footed and 2 seconds behind the play. And things that he would have been saving are now going in, which is causing us problems. But yeah, I don't think there's any worse way. Like, if you're beaten over 90 minutes and you're the lesser team, and you get taken to task, you take that on the chin and say we weren't the better team on a day. The fact that we should have come away with something, and we conceded a last minute goal, literally last kick of the game. It kicked off and that was it. Whistle went. It's just a kick in the teeth. It's a horrible way to lose. But Brentford are, I think, this season they're almost everyone's second team. They come up through the playoffs, and sort of couple of seasons. Last season they lost Ben Rama, they lost Watkins, and people they're not going to do it again. They come up and actually they're holding their weight, and they're not scared to go at teams. So it's a bit like Norwich. They're quite happy to go at teams, but they're a lot better defensively, a lot more solid defensively. I think they're going to do what Sheffield United did. I think they're going to finish in the top half. I think their struggle comes where their business model is to make money and sell players on. And although they may be able to do that with selling less players if they're in the Premier League and they've got more TV rights and stuff, I think if they get rid of one or two players too many, then that's where the problems will lie. Something sort of we said about Southampton that's slowly crept in over the years. They've sold one or two players too many, and now they're creeping further and further down the table because it's hard to maintain a Premier League squad by being a selling club. But yeah, I took the piss out of you for losing to Brentford, but I think we did put up a bit of a better fight.
Yeah, 100%. At least you scored.
At least we scored. Yeah, that's right.
No, I've got to say for me, I suppose as you mentioned there, they are kind of a team to watch at the moment because obviously they took Liverpool to a 3-3 draw the week before, and there was just something in my gut feeling with just how well they have played that was kind of my score prediction, which we'll come on to very shortly.
Yeah.
It is quite surprising that some of these teams that we've seen over the last couple of seasons go on a bit of a run. Granted, they do seem to fall away towards the end of the season anyway, again, just because of I would say that the squad depth. I know that obviously teams are in a better position where they can recruit better, but there still could be that whole issue with not being enough quality in order to kind of like maintain those positions within the Premier League table. However, Brighton are a team I think will be safe 100% this year. And I actually put them in my bottom three for this season.
Are you talking Brighton or Brentford? Sorry,
Brentford.
Sorry. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, I know I've had that issue before.
I'm sure you said Brighton just then. I'm sure you did.
Sorry. If I did, I apologise. I probably
it's a repeat.
did.
It's
happened again. It's happened again. Brentford, Brighton, it's happened again. No, so Brentford, I did have them tipped to go down.
Yes.
This year. Brentford. But no, they're an absolute pleasure to watch. They've got pace going forwards, solid at the back, or more solid than we've seen from other teams. I would say ourselves included, certainly at the early part of the season. But yeah, they're definitely ones to watch this year, 100%.
And I think they're one of their biggest their biggest successes this year or after this season. Will be keeping hold of Thomas Frank. I think he's a manager who potentially could go places. He's done extremely well with Brentford, especially on the budget that they have and the criteria they have as a club. You could see him at a bigger team. Manchester United. Who said that? But on the subject of managers, Watford got a new one. Just announced, Claudio Ranieri.
It's just been announced, is it?
It has. It got announced a little while ago. But here's the thing.
Yes.
Right, here's the thing. Claudio Ranieri, he won the league with Leicester. Since then, he's been sacked from every club and done a little bit rubbish. So I don't want to say it was sort of a one-season wonder that won't ever happen again. if it was going to happen, it's not going to be with Watford, because I give him till Christmas and they'll have a new manager again. And I'm sure Watford fans will be frustrated at it, if not used to it now, with the sort of manager merry-go-round that they have. It seems they have 3 or 4 managers a season. And then, because it wasn't that long ago, they hired some Serbian bloke, and I thought he was still the manager until they come up and they had a different manager to him. And now they've got a different manager again. So the fact that I only know Ranieri's name because he won the league, I don't know any of the last couple of Watford managers, if I'm honest. Do I think it's going to help them? No. Do I feel sorry for some of the players? Yes, because you're constantly going through that thing of trying to impress and changing tactical styles and doing that. And we've seen with a number of clubs, you've got to give the manager time. If you have the right selection, they will get it right. Arsenal are obviously going through that stage at the moment where it has to work because he's been in the job a little while. But if he was the manager at Watford, he would only been there half a season maximum. Even if he's doing well, he would have gone and they would have got someone else in. So I don't know. If you're a Watford fan, let us know what you think of your new manager appointment, I suppose is the right word, on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are below us if you're watching video, or they are in the video description or the audio description of wherever you are consuming this podcast. But let us know what you think about Ranieri at Watford. But it's not all bad, because that does mean there is a bonus point. Not that I'm happy about having a bonus point, because I need all the help I can get at this moment in time. But,
no, you quite very quickly at the start of the season mentioned that the Watford manager, and the point that we just to go back what you were just saying, the fact that I've just written Watford into the thing because neither of us knew his particular name at that particular point. So the bonus point for you. So a 1 added to your season total. Moving on from that, we'll go over the scores from last week. So, Brighton versus Arsenal, you had us down as a 2-2 draw, and I had us down as a 2-1 win. So you get a point because it was 0-0, and that's a move on. West Ham Brentford.
Yep.
You had 3-2, and I had 2-1 down.
I knew it was going to be close.
Brentford obviously scoring right at the death, as you mentioned in your review just then. To be honest, with that particular goal, I did feel you were a bit. I was gutted for you. I genuinely was gutted because it was right at the very death. But yeah, so 2-1, 3 points to me, 0 to you. So that moves us for the totals this week. 1 point to you, 3 to me.
I get a bonus point, so 2.
All right, I'm coming to it. So that moves on to the season totals. 15 points to me, 8 to you with a bonus point. So you're up to 9. So it's 15-9.
I'm not being funny, right? I think with this, I've blown my load early, haven't I? Like first 2 weeks.
Oh, we've all been there.
8 points. I was like flying. Like I've got this in the bag, smashed it. Since then, nothing. It's just like he's crawled back inside and gone to sleep. Mate, you might have that one. You'll never hold one of these.
No,
it's never going to happen.
I'll never get my hands on that one.
You can have the little one. But what that does lead us to is something that we do need. And it's the first time this season we've actually used the intro. And that would be over to you, Mr. Hawes.
Any discretion is advised. Bloody bar.
I like it. It doesn't get old. Part of me is still trying to figure out how to set that as my ringtone for a text. But Liverpool. Now, when we see VAR the first season, it was very apparent that Liverpool got the rush of the green more often than not. Last season it was Manchester United. It seemed to get more penalties than anyone else. And this season we've had a lot less controversies, but generally when there has been controversies, it is involving Manchester United or Liverpool. And this week it's been Liverpool who played Manchester City, and essentially the winner went top of the table. And you've got to say it's a 2/3 horse race potentially this year. So this is a big 6-pointer game potentially. It did finish 2-2, so a point apiece, which if you're a Manchester City fan, you will say, okay, I'll take that considering the decision that went against him. So what I'm talking about is James Milner, skinned by Phil Foden, chased him into the box and pushed him over, essentially. The ref said no. VAR looked at it and said no, even though it was quite obviously a push. And he had no intent to play the ball. So if we go back to last season, was it? Maybe the season 4, David Luiz with a little tiny touch on a player, no intent to play the ball, red card and a penalty. We've seen it over and over again, like red cards and penalties for this sort of thing. But for Liverpool, absolutely diddly squat. So Pep Guardiola, as he was quite right, was fuming. Phil Foden wasn't too happy about it either. So I think 2-2 in that respect, with Manchester City coming back from being down a couple of goals, is quite just, even though I personally think they deserved the 3 points. What's your opinion on the not push?
Well, again, it just comes down to consistency. Because, excuse me, not only did we see a similar situation last season, last season with David Luiz being sent off, the next day or later on that day, I can't remember exactly when it was, we see Harry Maguire absolutely rugby tackle someone to the floor. I can't remember who it was, and no action was taken, and they tried to come up with some bullshit justification. That there was an attempt to the ball. Fuck off was there. Excuse my language. But again, we're just not seeing these consistencies. Now I know that they have mentioned at the start of the season that they were going to be becoming more strict or more flexible in terms of the the decisions going into the box, so there's not as many penalties given. But if it's a foul, it's a fucking foul.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because I think there was a decision kind of similar to that in the Brighton game, and I was like, well, how was that any different to what happened last year? Then obviously I think they mentioned about the fact that they are kind of like picking up on it more in terms of going down too easily, etc. But yes, it is aggravating. It is aggravating. But at the same time, I kind of like you. I am happy that Manchester City managed to salvage something from that game.
Yeah. It's one of those where I would admit I'm going to sing VAR's praises a little bit this season. It has been the best it's ever been. Still not perfect, still making some mistakes, but it's not every week and it's not multiple times a week. The frustrating thing is every single controversy seems to involve either Manchester United or Liverpool. And that's the thing that makes you think, is there an agenda still? Is there a sort of a secret scroll instruction to look at things slightly differently in those games? Is there maybe a bias for it through one of the referees sort of favouring those teams? I just, if that had been against Burnley, Burnley had done it, would Manchester City have got a penalty? That's the way I look at it. Yeah, they would have. They would have given the pen. Same way if it was Liverpool, would they have given the pen? Yeah, they would have. And I think what they need to do is get the managers to sit down and say, look, I'm not being funny. If that was for the shoes on the other foot and it was our defenders doing it for you, you would be jumping up and down on the touchline saying how shit your decision that was. Same with all the fans that say, no, it was a perfect decision. Shoes on the other foot, we all know Liverpool fans go mad when it doesn't go their way. And that's the bit that gets me. As you said, consistency is key. I don't want to be too negative because it has been better this year. Still some improvement to be had. But I still think there's something there for the bigger clubs. I really do. and I know people go, there's match fixing, corruption's not in football. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, from FIFA to the FA. I mean, look at the Super League. That was the breakaway. The Premier League was made on the basis of people wanting to make money off of football. And no other thing other than just their own greed. So it's not a new thing. Could it happen? Yes. Is there definitive proof of it? No. But is there a nice conspiracy behind it? I would say so, definitely. I don't know. Part of me wants to scrap it completely. And then on the other hand, you think, I can't really remember. This is the trouble. I can't remember a time where I enjoyed it beforehand. Does that make sense? Because of how bad some of the decisions were. But then again, since it's come in, I've sort of enjoyed it even less. So I just want one game where VAR doesn't have to get involved, where the referee does a really good job and everyone goes home happy. Is that too much to ask for?
Of course it is. What sort of like unrealistic fantasy land are you living in?
Mate, one game. That's all. One game a season where there's no problems. That's it. I'll be happy. Doesn't even have to be a West Ham game. Yeah. One game. But other than that, VAR.
It'll be Manchester City versus Liverpool, the reverse fixture, and it ends up with Manchester City winning the title. That'd be perfect.
It would be.
That would be perfect.
So, I mean, other than that, I can't think of any other VAR controversies from this week, if I'm totally honest with you. But we've chopped and changed a little bit here, because we went to points and we've gone to VAR. Now we're back to points again. So, because there are no Premier League fixtures this weekend, because it's the international break again, for teams who moan about fixture congestion, why have we got more international fixtures?
I think it's because we've got that the World Cup in such a short space, obviously, with the issues that we have with COVID, etc. And
it's
obviously it's meant that we've had to cram a lot of fixtures in last year and into this year, because where we would have been having the qualifiers, we've had to have the European Championships. But yeah, I agree.
And is the World Cup still being played in December next year rather than the summer? Because they're
I believe so.
Holding it in the desert where they've killed umpteen people by making these stadiums. No, I said about corruption in football, Mike. I don't want to say Qatar has corrupted it and paid for things, but somehow I think oil money's had something to do with it. But because of that, we do have one England fixture, and we also have one other, which is sort of a semi-local team now. Southend got relegated from the Football League last year and currently are in the National League. But it's time for us to have sort of our one game a year from them and a punt on them. But first off, Andorra versus England in a World Cup qualifier. What do you think?
I'm not even going to go into too much detail about it, because the qualifiers are boring. Me and you only seem to enjoy it when it actually gets to the actual tournament, and you get all the hype about it. So it's a qualifier. I think pretty much we're already going to qualify if we haven't already just yet. But yeah, I'll 5-0 England.
Well, funny you should say that, because I've put exactly the same score. Andorra are a bit shit. They've not got many people living in the country, and the fact that I'm sure the European National League or whatever it was meant to take away fixtures like this. 5-0. It's I was going to change it to 6, but I'm not. I'm going to change it to 5.
All right, just to be different, I'll go for 4.
Okay, you don't have to. I mean, you're already miles ahead, mate. You're already miles ahead.
But this could be it.
It could be, but next off we have Southend versus Chesterfield. So I've not been following Southend a lot recently. I know they got relegated. I know they're not having the best of times in the National League, which only has one place to come up from, I believe, or one automatic place. So, Mike, what do you think about Southend's chances of hosting Chesterfield?
I've got to be honest, mate. I don't fancy the chances at all. I know they've had a bit of a torrid time. So where are they at the moment? So they're currently
They've
in
won one game.
21st.
They've won one game all season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1-1, drawn 2, lost 5. And this is for a team that was in
the championship not too long ago.
Yeah. So it's I've got to be honest, mate. It's we've obviously mentioned Southend United a few times on this channel before. Obviously, as you mentioned, it's kind of a local club for the pair of us. A club which I've spent many a year at Roots Hall. Shithole stadium.
Oh mate,
but
it's a diner of the stadium, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was nice. It was kind of like my first professional football game to go and see. So they're always going to hold a special place in my heart, and obviously being from Southend as well. But you just want to see him doing better. To be honest, I thought they were going to walk this league. I've got to be honest.
It's one. You think Luton was in it for years. It's one of the hardest leagues to get out of because there's 2 places and only one of them's automatic.
But yeah, so Southend, I am going to. Well, Chesterfield currently sitting in 3rd, so they're on 5 wins, 3 draws, and 1 loss, 18 points. I'm gonna go for another defeat. I'm gonna go for Southend 1, and then Chesterfield 3.
Oh, we're very, very similar tonight. I've gone Chesterfield 3-0.
Oh, okay.
I don't see Southend getting on the score sheet. I think they've been abysmal. But I don't necessarily think that's the club's fault as such. I think this is a classic situation that you've seen, and we've seen it time and time again, and we will continue to see it, of a chairman ruining a football club for a town or a city or whatever you want to call it. Is it Ron Atkinson? It's Ron somebody. It's Ron somebody. I can't remember his name. Ron Weasley. It could be Rowan Atkinson. I'm thinking I'm getting confused. But he's taken that club. He got them promoted. He didn't get them promoted at all. They got promoted in successive seasons to the Championship. He refused to spend any money, so he had a League One club in the Championship, and then they spent a year there, and then proceeded to get relegated and relegated again. They swanned around in League Two for a little while, and now they're getting even worse. He refuses to pay his tax bills. He refuses to put any money in the club, and all he's going on about is trying to sell the land the stadium sits on to Sainsbury's. So I mean, I've got to admit, if he doesn't sell soon, I can see the end of Southend United Football Club in the next 5 years. It won't be a thing anymore. It will be you'll have like a Southend Manor, who are a Sunday League team, not a reasonable level, but a Sunday League team type thing for Southend United, and it will be fans only. There won't be a club as such, which is a real shame because it's got quite a big following.
It has, and my uncle used to play for him.
Did they?
Used to play for him and was a coach.
Didn't know that.
Paul Clark is my uncle. Yeah.
Very good. Very, very
but
good.
We'll move swiftly on from that one.
Was he good for it? Yes, was he good for it? That's the question.
Apparently, it was quality. I've spoken to a few Southend fans who said it was an outstanding player and a good coach.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just a few family issues, put it that way. Yeah, so we'll move swiftly on.
Fair enough. So far we've got Southend being obliterated. We've got Andorra being obliterated, and then nothing really to look forward to because it's October. There's yellow warnings out for snow at the end of the month. What's going on? Like literally 3 days ago it was blindingly nice, and then I've put my heating on this week. I don't understand what's going on with this country.
Nah, we haven't got there yet. I'm refusing. I'm just putting jumpers and track. Mate, I had to wear jeans for the first time in I don't even know how long yesterday.
I haven't worn jeans in 3 years.
I was like, what is going on? Mate, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Give me trackies. I want my trackies back.
Well, here's the thing, right? I reckon with my performance on the golf course the other day, I could have got in the European Ryder Cup team.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shambles,
I'm
wasn't
not saying that I played well. It was the best round of my life. Not saying I played well, but they were just shocking, weren't they? Europeans in the Ryder Cup this year got absolutely obliterated. Tried to make a little comeback at the end, but yeah, it left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't get my head around it. But we are back out on the golf course, so that might bring a little bit of pleasure to this week of international football, because I can guarantee you I'll go, oh, England are playing. When are they playing? Oh, it's on 70 minutes. And then I'll go, I can't be bothered to watch the rest of it because we'll just be passing sideways and backwards for 25 minutes. So, yeah, have you got anything else to add to this week's podcast, Mike?
I just wanted to get your thoughts and opinions on Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes.
He was.
I know what you're going to say.
So he started from the bench this weekend.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that? Because I was listening to TalkSport whilst that game was going on. Just about to take my dogs for a walk, had it on, and there seemed to be like, oh, what's going on? Like, he's been dropped to the bench. Is this is there some like underlying issue with Ronaldo? Is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer putting his foot down because of this supposed uprising or whatever?
Yeah.
Or is it that he just thought that he didn't need to be played in this particular game? Because I don't think he's missed the game.
No, he's their top goal scorer, which makes it strange. Would you leave Lukaku on the bench? Would you leave Salah on the bench? Would you leave De Bruyne on the bench? No, because they're the best player in the squad.
None of those are 36.
None of those are 36. Given. Who were they playing? I can't remember. I want to say it was Aston Villa, but that was last week.
Oh no! All right then. It was. I shall tell you. Oh fucking hell! Who was it?
Right. First,
Everton.
Everton. Right. So Everton should that Manchester United team be beating Everton? Let's put it that way. Yes. Did they beat Everton?
No.
No. Okay. So number one mistake. They've left their top goal scorer and arguably the best player on the bench. Number two, was it a chance for him to show off his shin pads with his own face printed on? Yes. So brands, he's pushing his brand because like there's a picture and it's been memed because it looks like the bloke's telling him, why you got your own picture on your shin pads? You're 36, mate. But did they... Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we've seen it in Europe, and we've seen it in a number of games, has a very strange way of picking his squads. When you think, actually, they're going to go with this squad because that matchup down the left flank, that matchup down the right flank, obviously they're covered defensively. In midfield, they will overpower them, and up top, easy win. When it comes to the team sheet coming out, a lot of Manchester United fans and a lot of footballing people around the country go, what on earth's going on? Bit like when they played Young Boys. Played a really weird squad. For what reason? Nobody knows. They lost the game. Against Aston Villa, played what seemingly was a strong squad, but made some weird substitutions. Lost the game. Against West Ham in a League Cup, played a weird squad. Lost the game. He is, as a manager, shocking. And I think that's the reason why he put Ronaldo on the bench. I don't think it's got anything to do with fitness levels, because I think a bit like James Milner at Liverpool, Ronaldo will be the fittest player in that squad. Should he be playing every game at 36? Probably not. But he, again, as a point I made a couple of weeks ago, he is genetically and physically a freak. And I don't use that word disparagingly, more of in a positive way, because there are very few people who could do what he does at his age. At the level that he does.
I could.
You could. Are you the same age as Ronaldo, Mike?
I am indeed.
So this is the thing.
36.
Maybe what we need to do then, right, is we need to do a video on what he does, like height he jumps and headers the ball, sprint speed, things like that, and see if you can get close to it. And me being even younger, seeing if I can get close to it, because theoretically in the world of football I should get much closer to it than you. Will I? I don't think so. But maybe that's a video idea. But I don't think it's got anything to do. I think people are reading too much into it. I think it's all got to do with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got no idea what he's doing. And I know Manchester United fans at points sing Ollie's behind the wheel. Well, I fucking hope not, because he's going to crash the bus at some point and kill everyone. So I mean, it's not something. If they went, we're getting rid of David Moyes, you're going to have Van Gaal in, and we're going to say he's too defensive. Then we're going to get in Mourinho and say he's too defensive, even though they both win stuff. And then what we're going to do is go, we're going to bring in Ollie. You know, I would go, what the fuck? We've had like world-class managers. One, okay, that didn't quite work out, but following the hardest footsteps ever. Van Gaal, who's doing well, and okay, was negative and sideways at points, but still winning things. And Mourinho, who got the closest to winning the Premier League since Ferguson left, and replacing with a bloke who is completely and utterly clueless, who has not won anything since he's been in charge, and not come close to winning anything since he's been in charge, and they're still kidding themselves with saying that he's at the wheel and he knows what he's doing. He's not. He's utterly clueless, and that's why Ronaldo was on the bench, and that's why they didn't win.
But did you see Townsend's celebration?
Yes, I did.
That was brilliant.
I thought it was great.
That was absolutely brilliant.
You've got to do it, haven't you?
What a way to rub it in his face. But yeah, 100%. When he scored that, I was like, yes.
Townsend over the years has scored some absolute blinding goals for a lot of different teams as well. But he recently was on TalkSport a lot, or sort of in the off season, and he's a really funny guy. Likes a good crack, likes a good joke. And I think that's why he said he was going to be out of Crystal Palace, because he rang up Vieira and made some remarks about, you might have been good, but I'll still nutmeg you in training. And then he got let go. So if it was going to be any player to do C, it was him, wasn't it? Or Jamie Vardy. Yeah. But we haven't had that one yet, I don't think. So yeah, but
that's it. I'm done.
So we'll wrap up on the fact that I say, in my opinion, it's almost a fact at this point. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does not know what he's doing. I don't think he realises he's playing football. I think he could be like, is this handball or rugby, or is it just a weird mix? We'll just put people out and see what happens.
Hope for the best.
Yeah, that's what it comes across as. I'm not a Manchester United fan, and if I'm honest, I hope they keep him and never win anything ever again. That's just a perspective of me being fed up as a child with Manchester United winning everything all the time. But if that was your final point for my opinion, that is it. Thank you for joining us this week. We have been on the air, and we are FDT-TV. I've been Ian.
I've been Mike.
I might be someone different next week. Depends how this week goes. But we will see you very, very soon.
Thanks very much, guys.